Now we have a wonderful speaker who is amidst us, sitting in front of us. Fortunately, I have got an opportunity to attend TEDx Hyderabad, which is being held in Hyderabad recently, and he was the co-organizer for that event. I would like to introduce him. He is a coach, he is an investor, and he is a philanthropist. After a successful career of 30 years in the corporate world, he started his own coaching and leadership training company last year, besides being an angel investor and mentor to many startup companies. He has invested in over 15 companies and mentors many more. He is very passionate about entrepreneurship development. He is the organizer of TEDx Hyderabad, as I have already told you, the India's second largest TEDx event, and a very active Rotarian. Of course, I am also a Rotary Club member, so thank you very much. He lives with his lovely wife Ekta and wonderful daughters Riddhi and Mishka in Hyderabad. Let's join our hands together to welcome this great guy, Mr. Vivek Verma, on to the dais. Hearty welcome to this wonderful event's Impact 2016, sir. I request Mr. Shivaprasad to escort him. I request one of our volunteers to come with a bouquet and honor our Vivek Verma garu. Hearty welcome, sir. Have a great session.
Good evening. Not loud enough. Good evening. Yeah, that sounds a lot better. So two things before I start. I'm going to be speaking in English. That's one of my handicaps. I don't understand and I'm not able to speak Telugu well. So pardon me for speaking in English. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be in Khammam. This is my first visit to Khammam, and I'm very grateful to Impact and to my duty, my society, to invite me today to speak on something which I'm very, very personally passionate about. How many of you know the power of vision? By show of hands, I want this to be more interactive. So as you can see, I don't have a presentation. I don't have a long sheet of paper that I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to be sharing some thoughts that I have. How many of you have seen a vision statement? By show of hands, how many of you have seen a vision statement of a company, of an organization? Okay, I see one, two, a few hands going up. Do you people know what's a vision statement? How many of you are people who are part of some organization? It doesn't need to be just working people. Even if you are part of a college, even if you are part of a social organization, all of them have, what do they stand for? Why are you doing what you are doing? Is that an important thing for people to know? Yes, no? Or 4 o'clock is the wrong time to take a session which is more interactive? Huh? The answer to that is yes, or to the answer to it's important to have why as an important thing is yes? Both is yes. Huh? So the reason why it's very, very important for organizations or societies, like, meaning we are doing this event for 3 days. There is a purpose behind doing it, right? It's not just that these people came together and said we'll get 600 people, 800 people into a room, call some people from Khammam and from places outside Khammam. They will come and speak on something. That's not the objective, right? There must be a purpose. This is being done because some amount of knowledge must get shared. You must absorb something and take back, which will help you in your career. A lot of you are beginning your career, so how do you kind of make a difference to your career? That's the objective. And that, in a way, is what some people articulate and call the vision statement. The reason I was talking about the vision statement is a lot of times we get confused that vision statement is something that is required for a company, for a society, for college, how many of us think that a vision statement is something that's required for us as individuals? Some of you answered the question that you know what a vision statement is. Do you have a vision statement for yourself? Have you created a vision or a vision statement for yourself? And I personally, in my coaching and in my leadership development workshops, talk about that, because to me, that is the most important thing. I work with a lot of colleges, a lot of school children, to help them understand the power of that vision. That if we are able to create a vision statement for ourselves, and what can this vision statement be? It doesn't need to be something really fancy or complicated. It can just be, if it's a school student, it can be that I want to become a doctor. Within a doctor, I want to become an orthopedic doctor. Within that, I want to become an orthopedic surgeon specializing in upper limb, which is the hands. Meaning, it can get as specific as you want to make it. But it's important to start articulating, what do I want to do? What do I want to do when I grow up? What do I want to do with the skills that I have acquired? Because when I start putting that in place, a lot of clarity in our mind starts coming. A lot of times people say career counseling, and you know, all a lot of people do in career counseling is, you're good in mathematics and hence you must become an engineer. Does it happen? Yeah? Or your parent are either or both are engineers and hence you must become engineer. Now a lot of times that is where, if you have started the process of visioning for yourself, it will help to say, that's not what I want to do. While I might be good in mathematics, but that's not what I want to do, because my vision is to do something else. And what is that something else? The typical question you are going to be asked as a student or as a young working professional is, okay, you want to do something else, very good. What is that something else? Because that clarity is required. Otherwise, it will probably be seen as an excuse for not doing what someone else is asking you to do. So in that sense, again, it becomes very important to create a vision statement. I have been to a lot of colleges where I've talked to professionals, MBA students, supposedly people who are understanding the process of management very well. And when you talk to them and say, what is the career you want to choose? They will come back and say, I've got 3 job offers. Now, what is the 3 job offers you've got? One is in a finance company paying me 2 times what the average salary of the other people in my batch is. The second job is in my hometown, where I come from, I'm getting a job there. And the third job is the job which kind of vaguely is associated with what I want to do. And what I want to do could be to do with education, for example, that I want to be in the education sector. I want to, in a way, work in the education sector and reform the education sector. Now, if these are the 3 choices to a student, now what is the choice he is going to make? One is roughly double the salary the other batchmates of his are earning. Second is a job I'm going to get in my hometown, so I can continue to stay with my parents or at least stay close to them. And the third is in an area where I think I will like working in, because that's my passion area. What do you think are choices people will make? First, second, or third? Third. First. Invariably, when I work with a lot of college students, the choices are the first or the second. Very rarely are the choice the third. The reason being because we get carried away by saying, I want to earn more money. I want to be seen as more successful. And unfortunately, a lot of time material things are things which are seen as visible signs of success. And what happens to this individual 3 years, 5 years down the line? Because I took a job which is in my hometown, or because I took a job in a function which is paying very high, but is not what I want to do. What happens 3 to 5 years down the line? Now, these are people who will then begin to start getting frustrated. These are people who are then going to start getting desperate, because you've now spent 3 to 5 years either being at your hometown and as a result probably lost some opportunities that you could have got being in another town. Or I've started so high in my salary that my career graph thereafter, we all want to see the same kind of career graph go ahead, but that's not the reality. So you might start very high and then stagnate, or you might start low and then slowly rise. Eventually in a 5-year or a 10-year period, unless and until you're really, really exceptional, it'll all even out. Now, if that's going to even out, then that's where the frustration will start, because the first few years I did the hockey stick jump and then suddenly it started stagnating. And these are places where I go back and talk to them saying, if you had created a vision statement for yourself, then making that choice early on in your career would have been a lot easier. Then the choice might quite often be the third one, that this is what I want to do, this is where my passion lies, and this is where I will pursue that. And then within that find methods so that my remuneration can go up, within that find methods so that I can then be close to where I want to be in terms of my hometown. But my prioritization then changes because I've created a vision statement for myself. So vision has this ability for us to get clarity in our own mind, and a lot of times in future decision making becomes very, very easy. When in giving my own personal example, I think whenever I am in crisis, I have a personal vision statement that I have created maybe about 25, 30 years ago. And I keep going back to that, saying, if that's what I want to do, the decision I'm taking today, does it align with my vision statement, or is it taking me away from my vision statement? And invariably, it helps me to take the decision because the choices are very clear. Is it aligned to what I wanted to do and what I want to continue to do, or is it something which is besides that? And that's the advice I give to a lot of entrepreneurs too. A lot of people start businesses without a vision statement. And what happens to these businesses is that somewhere they get lost. Because again, making money is important. But making money cannot be the vision statement. Making money is the purpose of an organization, is a purpose of a business. But it's not the vision. That's not what you started the business for. That's not what you start any movement for. And hence, it's not just in a career case that I'm talking about. It's something which is kind of applicable in every aspect of our life. That if that's what I want to do in my business, then I must create a vision. And the vision is the purpose, is the why of what you are doing. Why are you doing it? And like when I was being introduced, I was talked as part of the TEDx team. There is a very, very powerful speaker who's spoken at a few TED Talks in the past called Simon Sinek. And if some of you have not heard his TED Talk or read his book, you must go back and Google for Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K, Simon Sinek. And he talks about this concept of the power of why. And he uses a line in his talk and in his book saying, people don't buy what you sell. People buy why you sell. And his view is that when you are interacting with someone, the reason why you're doing what you're doing, if it is very powerful and if it's very passionate with you, it will come through. And people will see that and they will recognize you and buy what you're selling in terms of your words because of the why, not because of the what. So in that sense, again, vision is very, very important. And I would urge that all of you should go back and try and see if you can create a vision statement for yourself. And it needs to be a very, very truthful statement that you make to yourself. It is not a statement meant for the world. It is a statement meant for you to be able to stand in front of the mirror every morning, because the mirror is the only one which sees you. Pardon my use of word here, but they see you naked. The only thing which sees you naked when you see him in the morning, and I mean naked not because of the body, but because of the face and the mind. And that's when you should be able to have a conversation about your vision. That this is what I had started my journey to do. Am I doing anything about it? Is there anything I did yesterday or am I going to do today which aligns with my vision? Because if it does, then I'm moving towards what I wanted to. If I haven't, then I'm moving away from what I wanted to. So that's a little bit about vision, and I think it's a very, very powerful thought and item that we all must do. I also want to use this opportunity to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship, because again, that's another passion area for me. So what is entrepreneurship? What do you understand by the word entrepreneurship? No? We don't understand what is entrepreneurship. How many of you want to be an entrepreneur? Nobody? None of you want to be an entrepreneur. Okay, somebody does want to be an entrepreneur. Thank you. So there's one person in the room who wants to be an entrepreneur. So what is an entrepreneur? Usually again we get confused with what is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship means startups, right? 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 Wrong? Yes. Entrepreneurship is equal to startups? Only? Yes? No? And that's part of the other problem. The only person who wants to be an entrepreneur in the room is because he's the only one who wants to do a startup. But we forget that entrepreneurship is not about startups. Entrepreneurship is about wanting to take ownership, wanting to take responsibility, and wanting to do something to change the situation. That is an entrepreneurship. Startups is another idea, another area where entrepreneurs can be more successful. Meaning, I've spent 30 years in the corporate life. You know, the number one skill as a CEO I looked for, and most CEOs look for. What is that number one skill in an employee that CEOs look for? A survey was done some time back. The number one skill needed for employees is entrepreneurship. Every company wants the employees to be entrepreneurial in their thinking, which is take ownership. So if I am as a CEO telling my marketing head, please go and do this particular activity, I want him to take entrepreneurship in terms of thinking, take charge of that activity and go ahead and execute it. And that is as good or as much a requirement in a job as it is in a startup. And that's where a lot of times we miss out on entrepreneurship. And I also keep talking to a lot of people in the educational space to say entrepreneurship is a topic that we must start teaching our children. Because entrepreneurship is required not just in the professional life. Entrepreneurship is required in our personal life. We all go through difficult situations in life, right? Whether it is about exams, whether it is about personal problems at home, whether it is about our jobs, whether it is about interactions and relationships with other people, each of these things also requires an entrepreneurial thinking for us to be able to find a solution. And if we develop these skills early on, then it will help us in our career from a long-term perspective. Who is the best entrepreneur? Let me give you a secret. I'm also a little bit of a magician. I can read people's mind. I know each one of you in this room has lived with an entrepreneur all your life. Do you know who that entrepreneur is? A lot of times we think we don't know, we don't have access to an entrepreneur, we don't know what's an entrepreneur like, we don't know what the thinking of an entrepreneur is going to be. So who is this entrepreneur that you all have lived your life with? I have lived my life with. Who is this? Entrepreneur is someone who takes responsibility, someone who is accountable, someone who is wanting to make a difference. And if that's the definition of an entrepreneur, who is the first entrepreneur all of us are introduced to in this world? Can you guess? Mother. Absolutely right. The first entrepreneur that we get introduced to in our lives when we take birth is our mother. And we usually don't recognize that entrepreneur. Because what is that person doing? That person is taking responsibility of the fact that you have come into the world. And that has changed life. That has changed life for her. That has changed life for her family. And she is now bringing you into the family. She is bringing you up. She is doing the upbringing with you. She is managing. She is doing the balancing act. She is taking responsibility for you. Right? All of these things that we qualify as qualities of an entrepreneur are best seen in a mother. But none of us recognize that, and we always keep looking outside for these so-called famous entrepreneurs to understand what do they do that I can learn. If we were to go back and learn some of the skills that our mothers do in our own houses, we can all become better entrepreneurs. And that's the other thing that I'd like to leave with you, saying that some of these things we must demystify. It is not about these fancy, famous, people, learning from them, learning from some books. All of those are important. But in your day-to-day environment, there is so much happening which can help us to develop some of these skills. So entrepreneurship is very, very important, and entrepreneurship can be developed if we are able to create a vision which helps us create a boundary of what we want to do and what falls outside of what we want to do. Because then I'm very easy and the decision making becomes very, very easy. A lot of times people come to me from a business perspective. I invest and I mentor businesses. And they start talking about the fact that, for example, if someone wants to start a transport business going from point A to point B, I will run buses for corporate world or for college students. And then during the course of running the business, I start talking about, I want to bring the best quality breads that should be available to people who are commuting in my bus or in my car or in my auto. And my question to them is, what's the purpose of your business? Is the purpose of your business to take people from point A to point B? If that is the case, then stick to that, because don't get confused into doing other things. Let's look at from the environment around us, some of the people who've created powerful visions and have had successful businesses. How many of us know of Apple as an organization? How many of you use iPhones in the room? Well, how many of you want to use an iPhone at some point in life in your, I see a lot of hands up there, right? Why is that? Why is it that that is such an aspiration for all of us? Why is that product or why is that category of items that they produce seen to be aspirational for all of us? Not just here in Khammam, but around the country, around the world. When you have to see the queues around an Apple store when a new product is launched, it's because they've created that vision for themselves that they want to stay ahead of the curve from a technology perspective. Are they the largest number of phones that are sold, or the largest number of laptops that are sold, or the largest number of iPods, iPads, iWatches, whichever one? Are they the largest? They are not. They are by far not the largest, but they are by far the most aspirational people. Similarly, there's an airline called Southwest Airline, which flies only within the North American continent, America, basically. They again have a very clear vision. That's an airline, if you ever use, they have 2 people crew. The entire aircraft has 2 pilots and 2 people crew. So 4 people which run an aircraft which has 150 people. Because they are very clear, our objective or our vision is to take people from point A to point B. We are not interested in anything else. The biography that is written on the owners of this book is called Nuts, N-U-T-S. That's because the only thing that's served on that airline is nuts. They just give you a small packet of peanuts because their belief is you don't come to my airline to eat. You come to my airline to travel from point A to point B. So my vision is very clear. I'll make that the best. I'm not interested in trying to feed you, give you fantastic seats, have the best number of crew to serve you, and do all of those things. In fact, the aircrafts don't even have seating, as in numbered seating. It's all free seating. So they issue you a plastic token. And when you get to the door of the aircraft, they take the plastic token back. And they ask you to just go in and sit freely. There is no boarding pass. Because that's a cost. And I don't want to incur the cost. I want to reduce the cost, take you from point A to point B. So these are just some examples that if you create a powerful vision, then business becomes a lot easier thereafter for you to do. So those are the 2 concepts that I wanted to talk to you about and share with you, that all of us are entrepreneurs. All of us have an entrepreneurial skill within us. We've got to find that hone that, make it so good, because it's going to help us in our life. And the second thing that's going to help us in our life is to create that vision, is to create that vision statement for ourselves. Write that down for yourself. See it every day in the morning. Stick it in front of that mirror that you face every morning to be able to see the vision, so that you know, are you moving towards your vision or are you moving away from your vision. So those are the two thoughts that I thought I will come and share with all of you. And thank you very much for having me over. And if, I don't know, from a format perspective, if there are any questions that we can take now? No. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for...
Thank you very much, Mr. Vivek, sir. It was a really good topic and good session. But of course, they are not fortunate enough to take your content because it is High Time Sunday and people all from out of station.
Cricket.
Yeah. But let's give a round of applause to Mr. Vivek Verma Garu for taking a very good topic, the power of vision. Really, it was nice and nice meeting you here, sir. And let us meet again and let us have sessions later. I request Mr. Gampagaru to hand over a token of love from Impact Night Duty to the society. Once more, round of applause.